Daylight, my MVVs, welcome. Iyanifa made a scapegoat of a woman who had stood against this ritual. She stood against the ritual so much. Not just her, they come from a coven. And she pride herself to be the strongest in that coven. At least Iyanifa took time to explain this to the people of Ife. They come from the coven. Now, for those who do not know, one of the strongest battles that Olori Naomi has had to go through in the palace has not just been the Ooni of Ife's wife. So, there is this spiritual battle about her own belief system. Now, obviously, when Naomi was in the palace, they had a lot of issues going on because those ones who belong to several different covens were never allowed to operate in the palace again. Queen Naomi is a very strong prayer warrior. Queen Naomi is a destiny child. Queen Naomi is a prophetess, and Queen Naomi sees a lot. Okay, so Queen Naomi sees them. When they come out during celebration, Queen Naomi will just sit quietly and be looking at them because Queen Naomi knows the way they operate. Queen Naomi knows each and every one of them. And they are not comfortable with a person who is not part of them, knowing them and having that kind of information about them. Queen Naomi's prayers have disturbed them so much. When Queen Naomi was in the palace, there was orderliness. You guys, know very well. You see, lots of things that happen in the physical, starts from the spiritual. A lot of people do not know. So Queen Naomi has been a very serious, roadblock for them. They cannot operate fully, or they couldn't operate fully while Queen Naomi was in the palace. And when Queen Naomi left, they were happy. They joined forces together to make the woman go. They were very happy. They celebrated the fact that Queen Naomi left and all of that. And bringing the same woman back into the palace happens to be one thing that they do not want. They have been fighting. Now, this second full moon ritual, they said after items and everything has been put in place, they said the kind of fight that, Ooni of Ife, Queen Naomi, Iyanifa people had to go through. You know that it is a sacred event. It's not an event like every other event that everybody will be there snapping pictures and all of that, very secret event. And so the struggle was something else. The completion of the second full moon ritual between the Ooni of Ife and Queen Naomi has not, only brought celebration, okay? It has also exposed deep spiritual division, within the palace. From the outside, it may look like unity, okay? But inside there is tension, okay? Serious tension. And this tension started like a long time ago, we have always known. He said there was serious resistance, there was serious unrest, both physical and spiritual, because not everyone is pleased with Queen Naomi's journey back to her rightful place besides the Ooni of Ife. In fact, palace insiders have revealed that the success of the second full moon ritual has triggered serious spiritual chaos and imbalance that has kept the Ooni of Ife and the Ifa, priesthood extremely busy. Cleansing are ongoing. Prayers are being said day and night. Spiritual protection we are being reinforced because powerful forces, both seen and unseen, we are working so hard to try and stop Queen Naomi. They don't want Queen Naomi in the palace. Now, here is why. Queen Naomi's final reinstatement does not just mean she returns as one of the wives of the Ooni of Ife. No. It means she is now free to be seen with the Ooni of Ife publicly at events, festivals, state functions, and private ceremonies. It means her authority is restored, her voice is heard again, her position is sealed. What that means is that Queen Naomi has the authority to come into the palace, build another prayer mountain inside the palace, and start again. Because one thing that Queen Naomi was born to do happens to be to propagate the gospel of Jesus Christ, to pray and all of that. And no matter what happens in the life of Queen Naomi, that is her destiny. Even if you drag her anywhere, Queen Naomi wants to pray, and that is what they don't want. That is why they have been fighting Queen Naomi the way they have been doing. Now, and apart from all of these other people, you and I know that, for many of the other palace wives and their supporters, this is a nightmare, because once Queen Naomi is fully reinstated, they will lose spiritual leverage, they will lose influence, and so from the shadows, plans have been made to also sabotage the ritual process, but by the grace of God, nothing happened. They say at the very height of, this spiritual warfare, something shocking happened, okay? They said an elderly woman well known within the palace was caught attempting to destroy sacred, ritual items just hours before the second full moon began. According to, reliable palace sources, she had shifted, spiritually, disguising herself as a rat within the sole mission of contaminating the space of the ritual by defiling the items with her presence. Yes, she turned into a rat. That is what we heard. But she didn't know that she was trading at a very, very wrong. Iyanifa was right there now, so she did not get away with it. She didn't at all. As we are hearing, if the information is true, they said Iyanifa, the spiritual guardian of the ritual, was spiritually alert. She had already seen in vision that something or someone would try to ruin the alignment of the moon with the ritual element. So when the moment came, she was ready. The rat was spiritually cornered, captured, and exposed in a dramatic and forceful confrontation. The Iyanifa reversed the transformation, forcing the elderly woman to return to her human form, naked, exposed, and shamed. They said the woman was so ashamed she was nearly killed by the backlash of the spiritual force that struck her. It was by mercy that her life was spared. And apparently, a lot of people are saying the reason why Iyanifa did not go on to do what ordinarily she would have wanted to do is because of the kind of heart that the Ooni of Ife has, because Ooni of Ife would have said, why didn't you bring her to me? That was why Iyanifa, that woman would have been gone. They said the disgrace was so heavy that she could not walk properly. People say her feet were swollen like yam tubers, her tongue twisted, her eyes turned red, and her voice gone, because when you challenge a divine assignment, you don't come out whole. This wasn't just a punishment, it was a warning. The Iyanifa made her a scapegoat, a life example to every other hidden, saboteur, still pretending to be loyal while plotting spiritual sabotage from behind closed doors. They said Iyanifa went that far because this, was not an ordinary palace issue. This was a spiritual contract between a king, a queen, and the gods. Queen Naomi did not return by her own might. She was summoned. She was chosen again, and once the gods have given approval, anyone who stands in the way is no longer fighting Queen Naomi. They are fighting the gods. And that happens to be the reason why Iyanifa had to use this woman as a scapegoat to let others know that, she cannot be played with. They said since that incident, the palace has gone into a kind of quiet lockdown. The Ooni of Ife is said to be deeply reflective, meeting with key elders and priests in long, closed door section. Iyanifa has increased her spiritual protection around Queen Naomi while they await the final full moon ritual, because she has made it very clear that whether they like it or yes, Queen Naomi is returning back into the palace. That is her home. The palace is the home of Olori Naomi. That man did not put Queen Naomi there. The gods put Queen Naomi there. And there is nobody, no matter how much they connive, they would never, ever be able to do anything. But to make this very sweet, you and I know that. They have even agreed Queen Naomi is not returning back to that palace until further notice. Once everything is done, the reinstatement is done, Queen Naomi is going to be shuttling between the royal mansion and their home in the UK. Ooni of Ife will be going to the UK, because right now, how many times does Ooni of Ife go to the UK? Ooni of Ife is almost in the UK like every other week. So what difference will it make? So you see, God is just aligning everything for the sake of Queen Naomi. And they say anyone that God has blessed that person. There is no man who can do otherwise. That is where Queen Naomi and the Ooni of Ife are right about now. I'm going to bring you more update. Do not forget that these are all alleged, rumored, unverified information making the rounds on social media and should not be seen as fact.